Good afternoon and welcome to the Hibs Observer post-match debrief with myself here, Bryce, joined by Patrick McPartlin, as Hibs turn in a sensational performance to beat Celtic here at Easter Road, a double from Josh Campbell, securing a brilliant result for David Gray's side, and let's say it was thoroughly deserved.
It was, yeah. I think, David Gray's spoken before about how quickly Hibs start in these games, and it's almost become a kind of joking point now that he says for the first sort of couple of minutes they're really good, and then Celtic scored early. This time Hibs scored early, and I just think, that really kind of took Celtic by surprise. Getting a second goal, sort of right before half time as well, was probably exactly what they needed. Celtic coming back into a little bit, but yeah, I don't think you're looking at that as a kind of, what do they call it? Daylight robbery. I don't think you call it that at all.
Not a smash and grab. It's a really deserved hard there.
Yeah, I mean a lot of sort of resolute defending. Maybe you could even argue they could have been a bit more clinical. They could have given themselves a bit more of a cushion. But a sort of professional performance. I think it needs to be, in games like this. They were hanging on a bit by the fingernails towards the end. Celtic actually scored a second, which was later ruled out after the ball was just gone out of play, and goal line clearances. Sort of a bit desperate defending at times. But I think, ultimately David Gray will be very happy with what he saw.
Yeah, really, I've got to say, determined, kind of everything on the line type of display from him. But I think, that's a kind of prerequisite when you play against a team like this. You have to be able to bring a bit of quality into that as well. And Hibs did that. I mean, the goal in the second minute was one of the best goals we've seen here at the road all season.
Wasn't even a set piece?
Yeah, I know it was a set piece either. A lovely move, ball into Kieran Bowie, he holds the ball up brilliantly, composed, plays it off to Nathan Mariah-Welsh. He sets Nectar Trianis galloping through midfield. And at that point, there was three stands here in Easter Road, absolutely, probably, a lot of people in the press box as well thinking, certainly some folks screaming, that ball's got to go out left to Nicky Gadden, in acres of space.
It looked like the obvious move.
It looked like the obvious move, but Jack kept his cool, played a lovely wee pass through to Josh Campbell, and he rolled it past Casper Schmeichel. It was the first of two goals for Campbell. The second, would you call that a looping header, a bouncing header? It was one of those ones that kind of thing it takes an age to go into the net. I think just a word for Josh Campbell. I mean, there were so many good performances here today, but he picked up man of the match and deservedly so.
Yeah.
I think it was one of those performances. I think Patrick, it shows you why he plays in his game more often than not, because it's a new goal threat when we see that first goal when there's space to attack. To look at him as well, you wouldn't think, a real physical presence, a real aerial threat. But he does so well in the air for a lad his size.
He does. I think, we know, like you said this earlier, like games like this, you need energy. You need your players to be going sort of, full pelt for 90 plus minutes, 8 minutes of injury time added on at the end of the second half, 4 at the end of the first half. And you can see some of the players were out on their feet, actually just given so much over the course of the afternoon. And, Campbell, somebody who just runs and runs and runs. And, that's what he did today. There's been question marks about his suitability as a number 10. There's been question marks about, as you say, like whether he's suited for every single game. And it must, probably quite difficult when you've got somebody like Junior Hoylett with his experience and his international caps and the teams he's played for behind you on the bench. But credit to Campbell, because he's sort of almost used that to kind of keep fueling his performances. And he's maybe been a little bit quiet in recent weeks. I think, we could be argued that the whole team has been a little bit flat. Still putting in performances enough to get results. The unbeaten run obviously still going, up to 13 games in all competitions now. But I just think with Campbell, he's got that goal threat, as you say, it's so good in the air, and he's just got that. I don't know. He's that game intelligence is really sort of coming out more than it used to. Like, I think he could be a little bit headless chicken at times in the past. David Gray spoke last summer about him and how he wanted him to say a kind of key role, in the team, how he wanted him to sort of step up, sort of take on sort of a bit more responsibility. He's been here a long time. He's a Hibs fan. He says he still feels like a young boy. He still is sort of like 24, but a big performance from him in a big game, and that's what you want. You want players who can take games like this by the scruff of the neck and really, really kind of step up. And Josh Campbell did that today, but that would do a disservice, I think, to the rest of the team if we didn't sort of highlight that. This was a team performance. Collectively very good, individually very good as well. Possibly minus the defending for Celtic's goal, but I think we can gloss over that.
I don't think we need to put too much focus on.
No.
As you said, it was a real kind of strong all-round team performance. I just think that you've got to give credit to the manager and the coaching staff as well.
Yeah.
The game plan was there, it was spot on. It was, you could see that. You could see it really from the first whistle that Hibs were going off after that fast start to try and unsettle Celtic. I know there was kind of talk, will Celtic be feeling it a wee bit for the exertions against Bayern Munich? I mean, maybe you could say that, but I think that would maybe do a disservice to how good Hibs were.
I think when you see who Celtic were able to bring off the bench, how much they've spent on them, then I think that
it's kind of sympathies in short order.
It is, and David Gray did make that point. He said, yes, it might be a factor. You can't hang your hat on that. You can't say, you can't sort of use that and say, they'll be sort of feeling it. An emotional game, sort of tiring game. You can't really sort of pin anything on that. So
plenty of players in that Hibs team have played a lot of football recently. I think we were even talking during the week about these guys on that side who have maybe been looking a wee bit jaded, a wee bit leggy, a wee bit in need of a rest, where they were kind of had to, really go to the well today. And there was some
at the start of a 3-game week as well.
Yeah, 3-game week as well. Yeah, that's just the first one ticked off. Another 2 to go. But as you said, there's so many guys absolutely out on their feet.
Yeah.
I think the fans responded to that today. It was a really good atmosphere.
I think so. Yeah. Speaking of guys out on their feet, I think Nathan Mariah-Welsh, his first start since the first game of the season against St Mirren. And I think, almost out of necessity, just because, obviously with Alassane Mane suspended, Hyokyu Kwon not able to play against his parent club, Dylan Levitt still out injured, Joe Newell only fit enough for a seat on the bench. I mean, we got to stage for the sort of last 20 minutes where Jordan Abita was playing central midfield. That's kind of how bare bones it is. And, that obviously there were players on the bench who probably could have come on and played in the midfield. You had Joe Newell, you had Rudy Milotnikov, but, I think this was a sort of game where you sort of need, maybe need the experience of Abita, just like somebody who's, Abita's a very fit player, and you kind of needed him to, track Celtic's midfield, because you knew it was basically going to be the Alamo for the final, however many minutes, and it was
8 minutes of stoppage time as well.
Exactly. But a really good shift from Nathan Mariah-Welsh. I don't think he'd have done, his own chances of sort of hanging on to a starting spot any harm at all. Really good performance, and I think you highlighted this as well, but his pass in the lead up to the first goal, really good vision. Really put in a shift, really struggling as he was coming off. It's the most football he's played in months. But I think you need sort of players to put in performances like that in games like this, and you need one or two to go that little bit higher than they would normally. And I think what made the difference for him today was you had a few more players doing that than you might normally. Some really good shifts. Warren O'Hora at the back, very good as well. Nicky Cadden putting in a power of work. It was a really, I think when you look at how kind of flat Hibs were last Sunday, it was like a real kind of difference. And I think you're talking about players looking jaded. We maybe thought that was part of the issue, and that might play a part. But I mean, didn't really see any signs of that at all.
Absolutely not. No, the complete opposite. Shows you how much I know, to be honest. We're going to leave it there, folks, for 2 reasons. We're about to head down to the press conference, and the second reason is the glare coming off the stand behind us here has blinded the both of us.
That's the sunshine on the glare.
Yes, and I was trying to resist making a joke about that there. I thought it was too obvious. So we're going to leave it there. We're heading down to the press conference. We'll hear from David Gray. We'll see what he's got to say. Every word of that will be on our website and the full video on the YouTube channel as well, folks. So thank you for joining us. I do hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'm sure you will after that result. We'll be back with a fuller review of the game on our YouTube channel on Monday, and obviously plenty of follow-up content as well, so do join us for that. But for now, thank you for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Cheers.